Yeah?
I think it's on regular.
Okay. All right.
All right. Hey, girl.
Lindsey Cacy, how
Yes.
are you?
Good.
Oh,
Excited.
Okay. I know. I think
I'm super excited. Like, maybe too excited, but good.
we're both a ball of just excitement and
Craziness.
nerves
Yeah.
and chills
Yeah.
and okay. So let me introduce you. So Lindsey Cacy, you and I met at Fierce Fitness.
Yes.
You were getting your eyelashes done by Stephanie, and Stephanie calls me in and she's like, Lucybell, come on, you need to meet someone.
Yeah.
And Lindsay's all taped up.
I couldn't see anything. Like, my eyes were closed.
She couldn't see anything. And we start, Stephanie, throws us into this super, deep conversation. And Lindsay keeps saying, this feels weird. I can't even see you.
Right.
But we're still,
Yeah.
So then, can I share a little bit about our experience together?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So, I practice QHHT, which is quantum healing hypnosis technique. And Lindsay came in and we had a session together. And what I learned about you was so profound. It hit me so deep. And you have gone through so much and have come out of it with so much growth and love. And I am just so blessed to have met you and to be part of this journey. So why don't you start off with talking a little bit about you?
Okay. First of all, thank you for that. Oh my gosh, I don't want to cry right off the bat.
I know.
I mean, I've had an interesting life. I was born addicted to heroin. My mom did heroin, so from the beginning, it was here you go, world. Here's this little girl. And so went through foster care. Went through it was an adoption with a family that was great, but abusive in a lot of ways, emotionally and physically, and other ways. So that really, as a little girl who already had trauma, that really it made me feel okay, I don't belong. I'm not special. Let me just be quiet and do what I'm told. And I kind of grew up in that space and not having an identity of self or worth. Mm-hmm. And going into my adult years, also my childhood was very sheltered. And so I spent most of my childhood in my room, reading, writing, very sheltered. So when I did go out into the world, I had no tools. I had no social skills. I couldn't hold on a conversation. I didn't look people in the eye. It was really, really bad. And so shortly after I moved out, I found drugs. And that is, I think, because when I was high, it was this alter ego of I have all the things to say because I don't have a filter and I'm not looking at myself through this lens of Lindsay. I'm getting high and we're all getting high. So it's it's great. Mm-hmm. Which obviously it wasn't.
In hindsight.
So, right, clearly. Yeah. So that was about 2 years, which was a blessing. And I think the big thing with that, which rewinding a little bit, I was in foster care because my mom died of a drug overdose.
So let's rewind from the beginning. So how long you're born, you're addicted to heroin. Mm-hmm. How long are you with your mom?
I mean, I don't really know for sure. I remember stuff after 4, but what I've been told is that we were with my mom and we would be found outside of the apartment. So 2 a.m, my brother and I, 3 and 4 years old, mm-hmm. outside in the middle of the night, looking for bugs. You know what I mean? Adults would bring us back in.
Yes.
And then we stayed with my grandmother, which was my biological mother's mother.
Okay.
And she didn't have the space for us. You know, my biological dad was born in 1918.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So my dad's dad was a slave. I mean, basically, the roots run deep, but
yes.
my dad was not able. And he was 70 when I was born. So he was a senior citizen. Wasn't, about that life of having a kid at the house. And so we went to live with, this is so crazy, but like his ex-girlfriend.
That's right. That's right.
I cannot make this up. Like, this is so
Yeah.
crazy. It's so, like, even telling it, it's like, wow. But, like, yeah, I mean, and so they had known each other when they lived, like, in the South, like, Louisiana area.
Yeah.
They both ended up in Sonoma County.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And then, yeah, she had foster kids for many years. He knew that. He was, like, perfect. We went in as foster kids, and then she ended up adopting us, which was very kind.
Was your brother born addicted to heroin?
My brother was born clean. My
Uh-huh.
brother was not. She didn't use during that pregnancy. So my brother is a year and a month older than me. And I think that, you know, she did things right with that pregnancy. I don't think that I was planned. And so it was like, like, you know, here we go.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that was kind of the situation a little bit.
Okay, so recap, you're born addicted to heroin. You have a brother who's a year and a month older than you. And there were times you've been told that, you know, late at night you guys were found outside playing unsupervised. Okay. So then the cattle, and your dad, born in 1918, there he was not part of the picture.
Yeah.
He, sorry, I froze. Okay, so at what point do you go into foster care?
It was probably, I remember one of the times, it was like called the dependent unit, and it was just like this room full of kids, and there was this closet with like clothes that you could pick from, which was really cool at like 4 years old.
Yeah.
But I think it was even before that.
Okay.
I think, I don't know for sure, but it probably my family tried and they couldn't, and then, because I remember clearly being 4 and the police coming and like taking us to the place, you know, and it didn't feel unfamiliar. So that definitely wasn't the first time, you know. It was just kind of like, oh, we're doing that thing. Here's a teddy bear.
Here's this place I know.
You know.
Oh.
Right. And probably intuitively as kids, we knew like this isn't safe, you know.
What was that like for you?
In retrospect, I mean, I don't remember a lot. Probably a blessing, but unsettling. Like I think that's where a lot of my anxiety comes from or came from, is like just kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, not really having stability and consistency in the home. And so I've struggled with that like my whole life. And I think that that's it. It's just that not knowing who is safe.
No roots.
So I'm just floating. Like literally that's how I felt. And even into my adult life until, you know, I found yoga. But yeah, that was it, you know, from what I remember.
Okay, so both you and your brother are taken out of the home when
they kept
you
us
are
together.
4.
Yeah, which was huge.
And they kept you together. So then what was the process like before you got adopted? Where were you guys?
We went to stay with the woman that adopted us. I remember going to see her. I remember she had a dog. Like I remember like eating greens. Like it was a very vivid day. It's so funny the things that you remember. But like, so we were in her care. I had to be 5. I had to be 5. Because I think I had to repeat kindergarten.
Yeah,
I was told. So I think the first year I was probably going through all of that stuff because I remember going to kindergarten with her. So I think I was probably 5 or 6.
Okay.
And then she ended up adopting us legally when I was like 7.
And again, she was.
You okay?
She was.
No, sorry, that was such a mom like.
That's okay. Is he okay? Oh yeah, we're both moms.
Okay. Yeah, we're multitasking. Yeah.
Our kids are playing.
Pandemic Chronicles.
Yeah,
right. It's fine.
Okay, so this woman that you and your brother go in her care, she is an ex-girlfriend of your dad's.
Biological dad.
Biological dad. Right. Okay. And so, what was life with her like?
Life with her was very structured, which was a blessing to this day. She had arthritis to the point where she had to get a lot of her joints replaced, her fingers were crippling. She was in pain probably most of the day. And so she was very angry a lot of the time. She was also an older Black woman who was raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in whatever year that was, so
Yeah.
long ago, it was a very different time. And
Mhm.
so, you know, my brother was able to go outside and play, as to where I had to be in the house doing like that sort of thing. So, you know, that it was very sheltered. And because I was always in the house, the level of verbal abuse, there was no escaping it.
Yeah.
Going to school was like my escape, which was why I was always like talking out of turn, because I could actually talk here.
Yeah.
And so it was very, the blessing was that it was structured.
Okay. Excuse us.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Come here. Hey, come here.
We're making a video, baby.
Yeah, we're making a video. Hey, can you go give this to Daddy and ask for more mango?
Please.
Yes. Toro, please. Okay. Thank you, Papa. Okay. Okay.
In real time.
Yep.
In real life with everyone else. Like, yes.
Pandemic Chronicles.
Right, exactly. I love it.
Okay, so the verbal abuse, but being able to go to school was an escape.
Yeah, it was definitely an escape. So I didn't do so well academically, but I did great socially.
Good.
So, which
Good.
served me. So yeah, that was my childhood there. I acted sort of as her nurse, just helping her with various things. Did most of the chores around the house. It was like Cinderella, like low key, you know. But I could go to school, so that was fun. You know, and so that was pretty much until 16 when I moved out.
What was school like for you in regards to academics and extracurricular activity? Well, extracurricular probably didn't exist for you.
Well, we did like sports. She did have us in sports, like not through the school, but like what is it? The football, Pop Warner.
Pop Warner.
So my brother played. I cheered for like 5 years. Did basketball, a few different things, you know, which was good. It was just, yeah, it was hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. So then you move out at 16. What was the catalyst? What was your final straw of, I need to get out of here?
Yeah. My dad died. So my biological dad died. I was 16. And so my biological mother passed away when I was probably 6. And then my dad passed away when I was 16. And in that 10 years, I had lived with this woman, and like all of these things had happened, but I didn't feel like I had a place to go. I had run away once, and the police brought me back, and I was totally like physically beat up, and like made to like, if you ever do that again, like you're screwed. Yeah. And so my dad died, and then my adopted sister died, and like within 3 months of each other, and she was the one sibling at that time that we were actually allowed to hang out with that was kind to us. And I could be a kid at her house, and I didn't have to be like, okay, like a mini adult who was
because
so
she was older.
She was older, yeah. So my adopted mom was much, much older. She was like in her 60s then. Yeah. So my adopted siblings were already adults at that time. Like they were already like, I mean, gosh, in their 30s and 40s, you know, and I was like under 10. Yes. Yeah, so they were much older. And so she was one of the adults that was kind in that family. And so when she passed away and my dad passed away, I remember I was like, because I've always written, I've always been a like writer, just like how I feel. And I wrote a letter. Like I wrote a letter to my biological grandmother, who I'd never told anything about what was going on. I was so scared. I never told anybody. Like I was so scared of the retaliation that would happen, and so felt guilty because they took us in, and like, you know, they would say that like, you're gonna make her health worse by stressing her out. And it's like, I just want to be outside, you know. But like the guilt was like, well, I shouldn't ask,
because that was placed on you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And so really, it was like this moment that I remember clearly. We were in Safeway. There was like flowers, and I asked if I could get flowers to put at my dad's grave, and she looked at me and she said, he is dead, and you need to get over it. And I literally, that was the night that I wrote that. And I wrote a letter to my grandmother. I don't remember everything it said, but I remember very clearly it said, if I continue to live here, I am going to die. Yeah. And I had I don't know how to like distinguish this. suicide wasn't even a thought. I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
I had never even thought, I don't want to live anymore. It was never the thought that I don't want to live
It's
anymore.
like the death of your soul.
It was that if
Yeah.
I stay here, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to die. And I didn't even know the, like, magnitude of, like, what that meant.
Yeah.
And I gave one to my grandma. And I don't remember who else I gave one to, but I gave one to someone else on the family side. And I called my grandma. Like, I had to ask permission to call my grandma, and she would say no sometimes. Like, that was the level of, like,
control.
you know? And so, yeah, it happened very fast, you know? And they were very mad. And I was very honest for the first time. I was like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
You know? I've been dealing with this for a long time, and this is a big move for me, and I don't know what's going to happen once this is out. Like, you know? And so I went and stayed with my grandma for a little bit, and then I went to, she was like, I don't have space, whatever.
Your mom's biological
Yeah, my mom's biological. Yes. And so.
And where she was located?
Santa Rosa.
Santa Rosa. Okay.
So that was just a couple months, which I think was like the summer. And then my biological cousins live in Petaluma.
Okay.
And so we had seen them growing up, but it was never really close. But we'd seen them, they were familiar. And she had offered, like, hey, you can stay here and finish high school in Petaluma. Okay. And I was like, okay. So I moved and I lived there, and I had freedom for the first time ever. Yeah. So as a 16-year-old with some freedom, you know, very soon I got a little attitude. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what? Like, you know, I bought my own shirt today. Like, I'm grown with the money you gave me. You know what I mean?
But having the ability to
right,
go
exactly.
do it.
But I entered the store by myself. Yeah. You know, and so it was harder. And then beginning a new school, you know, and like there was even less diversity in Petaluma.
Oh,
like
I'm sure.
Everybody was white, and that was always hard. I was raised in a home. I was raised in a black home, like very Southern, very, very black. Yes. Okay, and so like going to visit, you know, my white family always felt different. I was like, oh, it's like watching a TV show, you know. So then moving into that space was kind of culture shock, but also a huge blessing. So it's like, oh, culture that's different and like weird.
Because your mom was white? Okay.
Yeah, so my mom was white, my dad was black, biological. So yeah, so
the family is your biological family is white.
Yeah.
And so moving in with them was a huge
it was a culture shock. Going to a high school with mostly white people was.
What was that like at high school?
It was different. Yeah. It was I always felt like, and I'm gonna have to do like a blog or something about this. I've always felt like that. It's like imposter syndrome. Yep. Because I was like, okay, I can't talk the way I normally would talk in this setting. So I'm gonna just be how they're being. Yeah. Which is very white. Very, you know. Totally. And I mean that served me later in life with jobs. I mean, sadly, like you can't.
It's an adaptive
thing. When you're living in a mostly white kind of place, you adapt if you want to fit in.
You have to.
You know.
That's kind of. It's an interesting. Obviously, my experience is very different than yours, and but when you're mixed, it's like. You're not, like in my case, I'm not Mexican enough for the Mexican side, but I'm also of color for the white side. And so it's like, where do you fit in? You know, it's like you do have to take on these imposter roles when you are dealing with certain sides of the family because, you know, they might not understand you. And so it's a very interesting position to be in because you have to adapt. Yeah. And it's like you either just adapt or you're like adapt and get a lot of resentment around it. So it also is huge how you deal with that. Yeah. Okay, so you're 16, you're going to another school.
Yeah, so I do that. I do my junior year at Casa Grande High School, and it was fine. I mean, it was, you know, just different. Yeah. And I decided, so I was getting empowered. I was like, look at me for the first time saying, no, I don't like that. I don't want to do this.
Ooh, what was that like for you?
It was fucking great.
Yeah.
Sorry. It was great.
No, that's
You know
fine.
what I mean? Like, it was like, at first it was like scary, but then I very quickly adapted. Yeah. To that, and I was like, you know, I realized, which was such a huge kind of aha moment for the rest of my life, which was the worst they can say is no, you know?
Yeah.
That was such a, like, okay, you know, like, that's fine. And so I was like, I want to do my
Because you've
senior
been
year.
told no
Yeah.
your entire life.
Yeah. I've been told, like, basically, shut up. Like, your opinion
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you even saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I was like, I want to do my senior year in Santa Rosa with my friends at Alcion High School. Go Lobos. Right. And I did. So I moved back with my grandma, and I did my senior year there. And when I moved back with my grandma, I was real free. You know what I mean? Because I had just done, you know, a school year. And I had a job, like I had my first job ever. Like I was just like,
what was your first job?
Burger King in the drive-thru. Hey, do you want fries with that? That was me.
Nice.
I love it. And so, gosh, okay, what were we saying?
I
got
back to grandma's.
distracted by the beacon. Okay,
Back
so I
to
went back to grandma's.
grandma's.
I went back to grandma's and
finishing high school.
But I was doing too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was dating.
Well, because you'd never had this freedom.
I had my first boyfriend at school. And, you know, I was sneaking off and trying to be grown and, you know, have an attitude with her when she asked me, you know, why I didn't come home from school. And I remember, and I feel so bad, and I've done so much, like, sort of prayer, and, like, prayer is in, like, speaking to her because she's passed on. Like, or like, I guess I shouldn't say prayer, but you know what I mean, like just kind of communicating. And I remember I would get so frustrated and annoyed with her, like her little just whatever, which I guess is normal, but I didn't know what normalcy was for that.
Totally.
And so, you know, I was kind of a bitch sometimes. And so, and I didn't have any compassion at that time for anyone. And you know, she.
Well, because mom showed too.
Right, I didn't know. I mean, I was flying by the seat of my pants. And then she told me, probably, so my birthday's November, she told me the October of my senior year, that I had to move out when I turned 18, which was the next month. And I was already super short on credits to graduate. Yeah. And the school year obviously wasn't over, you know, for another 6 months or whatever. And I was like, okay. Like, I'm moving out, you know, and it was kind of crazy. My dad had passed away, and when I turned 18, I got, like, I think it was like $9,000 from, like, his life, you know what I mean? Oh, yeah. He's not a baller, but it was there were so many little blessings like that. And I got that, and I went, smartest thing I probably ever did at that time, I signed a lease, and I paid the rent. For a few months, right? Up front. Yes. Which I look back and I'm like, sis, yes. Like, you know, it was there. Yes. It was buried up in there. Yep. That was so smart. And so I did that. I dropped out of high school, which was, you know. And I started working. Yeah. Again, like working more. Yeah. And then, so I had my first place on my own. It was great. My friend Rachel, I got to shout her out. So one of my best friends, was my roommate. We were both 18, both connected because her mom had passed away. Like, first adult real friendship. And it was really, really cool. But through her, I met a guy and started dating him, and was hanging out. It was great. And I had no idea what drugs were at that time. Yes. Are we going there? We're going there right now. And so I'd be over there hanging out. Yep. You know, again, I was so fucking naive. I was so naive. Like, I thought I was grown, but I was like, oh, honey. Let's give yourself a little bit more credit. I mean, naive, I mean, that's the kind way. Because normally I'm like, I was young. I know, but, considering. Yeah. Considering everything you went through. Like, the lens that I can see it through is so broad now. Like, I have, like, it's so, like, of course, like, how could I not be naive? It would have been kind of sick. Like, if I was, like, okay, you just got back from life. Yeah. You know everything already. We also have to remind ourselves that our frontal lobes were not fully developed until we were 25. In my defense. Anyone that knew me before 25? Love you. It's interesting. 25 was a good age.
Right?
Yeah, so I literally was hanging out there. It was him, his roommate's girlfriend, and then him and I. It was like 5 people in the store.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know that they were doing drugs.
Yeah.
I literally genuinely did not know that. Like I knew they like smoked weed. I hadn't even smoked weed at that time.
Yeah.
I hadn't even had alcohol at that time. I mean, it was so interesting. I never had done anything.
Wow.
At that time.
Yeah.
And so I remember I got woke up at like 4 in the morning. We were being raided by the police.
And this is at
Santa
your
Rosa.
place or his place?
Where I was like staying.
Yeah.
So that was scary, like guns. I was just like, and I hadn't even watched TV to see something like that to know. I had no context. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? Yeah. So I'm outside, like, handcuffed on my knees, like, had no, and they're asking me where the drugs are, and I'm like, and they're probably like, yeah, right. And I'm genuinely like, I don't know where the drugs are. Like, I didn't know the word drugs.
Yeah.
Which to them, God, they were probably like, but yeah, and then after that, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up? Obviously it's, it's not just occasional.
Give me the
right,
give
exactly.
Me the
Yeah, you
lowdown,
can't
like,
even, because
drugs
that's
for
what he tried to
dummies
say.
right
Exactly.
now, because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I just like to get high sometimes. I was like, I don't know much about this, but like, I don't think that like 8 cops are gonna come into the house and do that.
Yeah.
For just I
so
do lines on the
lowdown.
Right, exactly. So his response to that was, okay, yeah, I do drugs. This is what it is. Do you want to try some? And that was it.
What was the drug of choice?
It was meth. That was meth was my gateway drug. Yeah. Which is really crazy.
Wow. Because at that point,
and
there
was
was no
so scared.
alcohol, there was no weed.
I'm trying to think. When I lived in Petaluma, I'm like, I know I was hanging out with kids that were smoking, and I was super paranoid, but I don't remember if I hit it or not. I don't think I did, but I may have. But it wasn't like I was like actively.
Totally.
Like I was just like so freaked out. I was like, oh my God, we have to go to PE.
Well, obviously, it wasn't enough to have an impression.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't like this led to that. Yeah. So I did it. I was scared doing it because I knew my mom had died of a drug overdose. So like, drugs were like this big scary thing that encompassed all of them and led to death immediately in my mind. And so, I mean, he really, and again, no gun was to my head, but he really talked me into it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, knowing who I was then, knowing how scared I was, he really, like, downplayed it, like, it's fine. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. You did one, it's cool.
He was creating another customer.
Yeah, exactly, which is so sick. But, I did a line, and I immediately was hooked. I was immediately hooked. And, I was just so like expressive. I could just say all the things, because there was no filter of fear. And so that was the beginning. And it just, I mean, I don't know how much like detail you're gonna go into, but
well,
2 years of fucked upness.
Yeah. Give us just give us like the abbreviated.
I'll say this.
Because it plays a huge role in your life.
It does, because of who I am today. Yeah. I want people to know. So I started doing it, and I was 18.
And I'm only pushing you because I know you're willing to share.
No, this is good. This is actually the first time that I'm sharing this, which is good. I need to do more work in this, especially now because it's needed.
I think there are too many people out there who share similar stories who would really benefit from knowing that there are other people out there who have felt the same way as them, have gone through similar things as they have, and have gotten themselves out.
Yeah. No, that's huge. Thank you. So started with smoking it and starting it at first. And then, just really saw the worst in people. So for me, like, most of the people, like, around me were, like, they'd get high, and then it was, like, let's go, like, rob someone, or let's go, like, tweak out, and, like, dig, dumpster dive, like, just random shit. I would draw. I would, like, do, like, artistic things. Like, I would go on, like, some missions, like, fucking go walk around at night, like, as tweakers do. Yeah. I say that with respect, you know what I mean? But, like, that kind of, just, like, adventure time. Totally. For adults. Totally. And so that was always something that I noticed that was kind of different, was like, oh, like I feel more creative and like I like to have fun, where other people were like, let's go fresh it up. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that wasn't there for me. And also like, if there was no more drugs, like I just would go to sleep. You know what I mean? Instead of like, oh, I'm gonna go like do something that I don't feel right about doing with my body for that.
To get
And that was something that I noticed too. So as I was doing it, I started to notice sort of this difference, you know, like, and people would act like, I would say like, I'm not doing this. Or like, I'm not.
Sorry, we have obnoxious motorists.
This is real life.
Yeah. Pandemic Chronicles.
Right? We're gonna brand that.
Yeah.
So it was, I remember saying like, I'm not gonna always, I write about this, and it's like, people would be like, oh, everybody says that.
Oh yeah.
Everybody says that.
Yeah.
And everybody did.
Yeah.
But I knew, it's so beautiful. I knew. But I mean, I was still
that it
high.
wasn't.
There was times that I tried to stop and I couldn't. So it wasn't just like I just stopped and was like, no, better.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
No, there was time I had stop, start. Oh my gosh, I thought I was stopping. You know, that whole thing. But it got bad fast for me. And that was a blessing. The other blessing was that my mom died of a drug overdose. So in the end, I was shooting.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have a lot of shame around that because I don't admit that I used to. You know what I mean? Like, that's a big, crazy thing to say. But, you know.
But it's a natural evolution of drug use.
Exactly. And luckily, like, I'm using luckily here, but, like, luckily, it was hard and fast. You know what I mean? Like, I went from never even seen it done on TV to I'm, you know, shooting up meth in 2 years. And so that allowed me to to see a lot of bad shit in a short amount of time. Yeah. And the other blessing was that I never learned how to do it myself.
Oh, someone else had to
shoot.
Yep,
there was one person that always did it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And it was like, it was crazy.
So when we had our session, you said that there was a really pivotal moment.
I was just gonna say the breastfeeding.
Okay.
I love you. So the moment, the catalyst for me, that was like, no more. There had been a lot of things, and I was doing so much writing, and I wish I still had those writings. That would be so good.
Hold on, let me do a quick plug.
Okay.
So
commercial break.
When I do QHHT sessions, I don't share this information with anyone, okay? But Lindsey has given me the okay, and she's also in the process of writing a book. Sorry, spoiler alert.
That's good.
And so that's why we're being, you know, super straightforward with everything. But I don't do that with everyone. Yeah. So only because you've given me permission to share this information. Yes. So sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. So it was getting to a place that was really bad.
Yeah.
I was kind of in that place of like, I want to stop, but like I don't really have resource. Like I don't know where I would even go and be, you know. And I was staying with this woman, and I walked into the apartment. She had 3 kids. Walked into the apartment, and she's sitting on a chair, breastfeeding her 4-month-old, probably, son at the time, and hitting a crank bong that we had made the night before. So, you know, for those of you who have never breastfed, you're feeding your baby through your breast from your body. And at the same time, you're putting in your body methamphetamines. And you're looking down at your baby and somehow not putting the meth bomb down. And for me, being that baby, I have chills. Like,
I know. I
literally was like, it was just like, there's no more excuses. There was no more anything. Yeah. It was just like, I literally walked in and I like took that in and I had to walk outside. And I smoked cigarettes at the time. I smoked like 2 cigarettes outside and was just like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't ever want to be in a place where I'm walking into the home that I'm staying at, whether it's mine or not, and that's happening.
Yeah.
And that was it. I literally, I was just like, no, like I can't do that anymore. And like I had met my older son's dad. Like at this like music studio. Friends of ours had played like live music at the studio, like off airway. I don't think it's there anymore, but yeah, like he was like, I don't want to hang out with you if you're on that trip.
Yeah.
So I would see him intermittently when I wasn't high, and we would smoke weed together. And so I thought about him, and I was like, that's the only place I have to go.
Yeah.
I would not go to my family. Because they wouldn't have even. And the shame was just, I couldn't, after all the structure of how you raised me.
Yeah.
This is what I'm up to. Like I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And so I went to him, and I was like, hey, can I stay here for a little bit? And he was like, are you on drugs? And I was like, no, and I really want to get off.
Yeah.
And he let me stay. And the rest is history as far as meth.
Okay.
So I have been, I'm going to cry. I've been clean for 15, almost 16 years.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. And so for me, like, just a disclaimer, because not everyone agrees with this, but, I smoke weed occasionally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can drink wine, I can drink alcohol. It's not, I think the blessing with that wasn't the gateway. Meth was first, which was really crazy, but I don't associate any of that with that. And it's been so long. But I mean, I've heard stories of people relapsing after one beer.
Totally.
They go out after 10 years. And
totally.
So I like to say that. But
everybody has an individual experience with addiction.
Yeah.
I think that, and again, I don't know what trepid waters I'm about to get myself into, but I feel like addiction is treated like a blanket, and I feel like, and share that with your AA meetings.
Yeah, no,
well, hold on, but let me just say my part first. Or sorry, my part first.
No,
sorry, that's not what I meant. I feel like it's different for everyone.
Absolutely.
And I feel like this blanket that everyone puts on addiction, once an addict, always an addict, in health and fitness, we talk about bioindividuality. Everyone is different. And so I understand the external guilt that might be placed on you for saying something like that. But in reality, it's your journey. Like, that's your reality.
No, thank you. I did. I used to not even talk about my sobriety because I felt like I wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sober. And then, honestly, writing the book, writing that chapter, when I wrote about, which was another kind of pivotal moment, I was in the bathtub Christmas morning, and there was a syringe of meth on the counter, and there was nobody there to give it to me. And I'm in the bathtub crying Christmas morning. Not because Santa didn't come or my family's not here, but because
there's nobody to shoot you up.
Right. And so I wrote about that in the book in detail. And that was it was so cathartic, because it was like I realized how much shame I was carrying in my body. I cried. Oh my God. I cried. I cried, like ugly cried.
Yeah.
And then I wrote, and I felt free. I felt like, and ever since then, I'm realizing this right now in real time, like, I don't carry that shame of like, oh, I drink now and I shouldn't. Like, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work for you, and I also read about that in the book, is like NA for me didn't work because I don't want to stand up and say, I am
an addict.
An addict.
Yeah.
5 times a week or whatever, I am this. I want to say I am in control. I am powerful. I am aware when things are out of control, and I am able to put things down.
That's huge.
And it's like
So backtrack for a second, and you were going to NA meetings.
I was initially, a little bit, and I just, not for very long. I was just like, this isn't serving me. Because I'm seeing all the motherfuckers I was getting high with.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, or did or used to. So, for me, and again, it's different for everybody. I'm someone that, I have to just all the way.
Yeah.
cut the cord.
Yeah.
Cut it. I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
And so that was, yeah, I realized that. I was like, I'm just seeing the same kind of people.
Yeah.
Talking about the same old shit we used to do.
Yeah.
This isn't serving me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like I felt like I'm going to go out and get high. I just was like, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah. You
I don't
put
wanna,
up that healthy barrier.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to be doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I didn't for many years. I didn't, you know, like, so yeah, so yeah, should I go more on that? Should I go into like, what happened after?
What do you want to do?
Let's go to, so my son Calvin, I met his dad, we connected. He was the one person I like didn't do meth, which sadly was the connecting piece. And I remember telling him, because he had a daughter who was older, and I was like, well, I want to have a baby. Like, I know if I have a baby, I would never get high again because I was that baby, which I would never recommend that. Again, this is a very personal.
That's your.
Yeah. So I'm not saying, hey, want to get clean?
Have a baby.
Don't. No, don't. I'm saying for me, because my mom died, like very specific details of my life.
Yeah.
I knew intuitively that that was the case. And it was very true for me. And so he was like, okay. It was like, brave man. You know, because I could have been a flake. Who knows? I mean, I could have just, yikes. Wow. But yeah, so got pregnant and
no, you're good.
I got pregnant. While I was pregnant, I was like super sick, like a lot of like, morning sickness and whatnot, and so I was like in the doctors getting like the stuff, whatever, the fluids, and so doing that was for the first time was weird.
Oh, having someone
doing that, and they were like, "Wow, like what happened here?" I was like, you know, because it was scar tissue.
Of course.
And I have really small veins. I know now just from different health stuff, but like, you know, I didn't know that then. And so they, you know, were very blown out very fast because I was only shooting for a few months. It was not, this was a very like a fast time.
A way to re-experience that in such a catalyst moment.
That was a big
you're
thing.
About to have a baby.
Yeah, that was a big thing. Doing the
I'm sorry,
like,
were you getting fluids while you were pregnant?
No, while I was pregnant,
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
I see
so
what
it was, but it was that was such a like, damn, like I don't want to be that chick. I want to be somebody different. So it was a catalyst. Like maybe it was like born from shame, but like it was like I don't want to be that girl. You know, I don't want to be the one that they're like, wow, your veins are hard, and I have to like be like, oh, I have health issues. Or, like,
make excuses.
You know, right?
For it. Yeah.
And so, and the other one was when, even though I had never shared needles when they did the AIDS test, I panicked. I freaked out because I was like, again, I didn't have context for like, oh, if you don't use dirty needles, like you don't have. You know what I mean? Totally. Like, but like in my mind, I was like needle babes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, all the course. And getting those results of you're all clear. Yeah, you're healthy. Your pregnancy's healthy. That was even further. It was like solidifying my sobriety. Yes. I love that. Yeah. Solidifying my sobriety. Yeah. Just all these little things that were like, oh my God, I'm so scared. What have I done? Yeah. While I was just carelessly in them streets. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like to have that clean bill of health and to have this new beginning. Yeah. Just doing that transformation. Right. Was like there was no turning back. It was just like, even though I knew that, I was like, bro, no, like I can't ever play. Right. And then I found out that his dad had like other children that he didn't see, like while I was pregnant. So all these things kind of came out. Yeah. And we were like looking for this place to rent. We were looking for like a room to rent together. Yeah. And we met up with his friend Skip. And I met his friend Skip, and he rented us a room. Yeah. I was like hella pregnant. He knew him because he had like known him from one of his shows because he did music. And so we were like staying there. Yeah. Well, I was there, but he was at the music studio all the time at night. And I was like, you're probably cheating on me. And he wasn't working, all these things. Yeah. And so when I was like 8 months pregnant, I was like, you need to move out. I asked Skip, I was like, hey. I had, because my grandmother had passed away while I was tweaking. And my biological grandmother, who I lived with. And I, again, that brought up a lot for me because I was like, oh, I wish I would have been better, you know? Totally. And there was some money that came from that. And I told him, I said, I have money coming in. It's going to be, probably 10, 15,000. I can pay you the back rent.
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to get all what I need for the baby.
Yeah.
Can I stay? But I'm kicking out. And he was like,
Yeah.
girl, I don't care.
Okay.
That's fine. And so I did. I was like, I'm not going to support both of us on my food stamp card.
Yeah.
And where are you at night? You know what I mean? Like, I'm also pregnant, sick, everything else.
Totally.
And you were lying about, just different things
Yeah.
like that. And so he left, and, we came back the next day, and, like, literally ran into the house and, like, pushed me down. I'm, like, pregnant. And that's what I knew, like, there was no, like, going back. Even if you were to get us together, like, that's not okay. Because I'd been in situations where I'd been abused before. But I was like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not high anymore,
I like your clear boundaries that you've always had for yourself.
We're still going?
No. On this one we are.
Is mine off?
Yours is good.
This one stopped?
Hold on. I had a feeling.
Hopefully mine comes out really, really quick.
Okay. So he's out.
He's out. And then I had my son. Yeah. And it was a lot. It was great. It was beautiful. It was like an emergency C-section.
Yeah.
It was just, came out healthy, and I like went home, and the first thing I did was I sat there. Like, all the neighbors were so great. Like, they like, it was such a, we lived in Coffee Park. So, and that whole area like burned down. So like, I love the people there. I'm friends with some of the women there still.
Yeah.
From there still. Just really rallied around me, and we're so, like, I've had so many earth angels that were just like, you don't have a mom, but you have like 50 kind of moms.
Yeah.
So blessed.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I had him, and he was, great. I was like, okay, like, I need to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, I dropped out of high school, so like, I'm gonna get my GED.
Yeah.
Let's start there. I was doing like the food stamps and cachet.
Yeah.
I was making that work for the first few months. Then I was like, okay, when he's 6 months, I have to start doing stuff. Yeah. So, and I needed that structure. I thrive in that space. Yeah. So I was like, yep, 6, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And so I went in. They were like, you can either get a job. Yeah. Or you can go to school.
Yes.
And I was like, well, I dropped out of high school, so I should probably get my GED, but I'm going to need to work because I have no support. Yeah. You know what I mean? Totally. And so they were like, well, get your GED, and then we'll figure it out. Yeah. That'll be your thing that you're doing. You'll still get your cachet, you'll still get all the things. And so I did that. I went to the JC. Went to the JC. Yeah. Got my GED. Oh my God, I'm going to go to shop. Yeah. And got, went to the classes, and met one of my best friends there, Candace, and passed my GED, which was such a big milestone for me. Yes. I remember they did a fucking graduation, and I cried like it was my actual graduation. Yes. I was 24 years old. It's
as
like,
it should
baby.
Have. Yes.
Because I was like, if you knew what was in these tears,
yes.
If you knew how I crawled to get this piece of paper. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, it was so powerful. I did that, and then I was like, I talked to one of the counselors at the JC. They're like, do you want to do classes, not get the GED? And I was like, sure. And they're like, you can get financial aid, and then you can also work on campus, and it won't affect your cachet and your financial aid. And I'm like, perfect. Yes. So I started, I think it was spring 2007 as a student employee, and admissions and records. Look at God. Look at God. And it was cool. I mean, I remember going, this is where my mind was, coming from a sheltered childhood, going straight into drugs, and still kind of having that mentality of like, like fear, like tweaker, like they're
Yep.
gonna find me out, like
Yep.
even though I was told
Yep.
it, that goes
Yep.
away after years, but it takes time.
Of course.
Imposter syndrome
Yep.
in this normal
Yep.
life.
Exactly.
Like if you knew what I was doing 6 months ago, you would not be looking at me like that.
That's because we still haven't embraced the fact
Yeah.
that we all go through these. Like we have to embrace that everyone goes through their shit, and we have to really celebrate the growth.
Yeah.
And not focus
Right.
on the shit that we did, and
Exactly.
not, because it's like it's really other people's judgment that
Right.
we have experienced, and everybody focuses on the bad things that we've done, but nobody celebrates the growth that we have obtained.
And we would not have that growth if we did not walk through that. Even if it was your own dumb decision.
Yeah.
That served you.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I didn't get that till the last few years, but man, that was such a reframe. Gosh.
So student
employee, admissions and records. Oh yeah, so just to kind of paint that picture, like they were like, oh, like here's like all the student records of this college, and oh, there's your social security number, and I'm just like, because I remember like what people used to do
with social security numbers.
and like I never did, but I just remember they were making like fake fucking ID. I was just like, y'all are like out here, you got a whole little situated government out here, and so I was just like, wow, like imposter syndrome, like. If they knew who I knew a year ago.
Exactly.
Not that I would, but it was just such a like, wow.
Yeah.
So that was a transition even, getting into that. And I did pretty well. It was good. Again, the women were great. They were fucking amazing. And my boss at the time, amazing. She was like one of the only black people that worked there at the time. She was damn near blind. She was dope. I don't know why that's relevant. She couldn't even see me. She fucking.
She was damn near blind.
She was
dope.
She couldn't see me, but she saw me.
Yes.
That was awesome. She was awesome.
Yeah.
And she was like, they're opening up a full-time position at the front desk. And again, I was like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not worthy of that. I mean, that wasn't the language, but that was the energy. I'm not worthy of that, And so she was like, you should apply. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And in my mind, which was a blessing, I looked at it no different than like applying at Macy. Like I knew it was a bigger caliber job, but I had no context, which was so good though. Like in that moment, so I didn't overthink it then. So I went to CalWorks, which was on the JC campus, and because they help you pay for your books and all that stuff for single parents. And so I went to them and I was like, hey, I'm going to apply. Yeah. And this lady, I love her, Angela Davis, she still works there. I fucking love her. She's the shit. She's amazing. She is a fairy. Like she just, it helps people. She coached me for my interview. The whole thing. I go through the interview. I'm interviewing at a panel. Like I didn't even know what that meant. So it's like the director. Yeah. And then I get chosen for a second interview out of 37 people. Wow. I had just gotten my GED. These people have like bachelor's degrees. Yep. I just thought like bachelor was like, get married. I didn't even know. I was so it's so cute to look back. But like it's so cute to look back. Like, wow. And so and like I go in to the second interview, which was with the vice president of student like just like big shit. And I'm sitting there with him and he's like the coolest cat ever. We're just talking. And he sends my name forward with like two others. And Diane, my boss at that time, she was like, she chose me and they chose me and this other guy. And we both got, which was like unheard of, but like we both got hired. And Diane told me later, because we became great friends, she's still, a mentor and a friend to me. But I asked her later, why did you hire me? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I wasn't ready. Like, I know you. Because I remember going in and Angela was like, just tell him you're nervous. Yeah. And I was like, I'm really nervous. Yeah. I think I cried probably in the interview. And I was like, I don't know, but I'm a really hard worker and I learn fast. I type like this. But it's fine. I can get you your report.
I can type like this very fast.
I'll just correct a little red underline you thingies. So, Word document, it's cool. Yeah. And she said that it was because I reminded her of her. She was like, not fully, obviously, but like, just the single parent that was like, I don't really know. That was like honest.
Yeah.
She was like, you were honest about it. You
Yeah.
were just like, I know all the things. And
Yeah.
you came in and were like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
she was like, you know, and she was like, I just saw that like you could do it. You
Yeah.
know, like you wanted it enough to
Yeah.
do it. And I mean, I still work for it. You know, but like 3 promotions.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I'm now mentoring students and, you know, student employees and temporary employees
Yeah.
and like acting as that person for other people coming in.
Awesome.
Which is really cool. I love that.
So I didn't realize we've been doing this already for almost an hour.
Okay.
I know. So
part 2.
I know, right? We should have a part 2.
Let's get to, like, I feel like that's a good synopsis. I work at the JC, so should we go into, like, do you have things you want to cover?
So I want to talk a little bit about your healing journey.
Okay.
And how it's helped you
Let's talk
through
about
the
it.
pandemic.
Yes.
Because I think that that's huge.
It is. And it's really, my healing journey has been, I just realized this in the last week, that like my healing journey has deepened within the pandemic and I didn't realize it.
Wow, that's huge.
But the work that I was doing before allowed space for that. So for me, you know, obviously you've heard all the things. And so obviously there's trauma there.
Yes.
And so even though I was off drugs for a long time, you know, it came out in relationships of, you know, choosing partners out of low self-worth, but not really realizing that, being treated in ways that was less than, you know, I deserved because of the worth stuff. And that stemmed from the trauma. When your own parent doesn't want you and chooses drugs over you, which was that was the message.
Then I have no worth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, you know, a lot of it, I did therapy. Yes, that helped me. A lot of it was yoga and meditation. A lot of it was journaling.
Yeah.
And all of those 3 things are just you and yourself. And it's that coin where one side of the coin is that's really great and empowering and there's really, I can do this anytime, anywhere, and how cool. But then the other side of that coin is it's just me and my shit. Yeah. And I have no idea like where to start.
And I have nowhere to go. I have to face it.
I don't even know what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even, And so, you know, it really depends on your level. I'm going to speak from my level of trauma, which is high as shit.
Yeah.
So if you fall into that, that's good. Yeah. You know, but like the main thing is getting, I love how it got completely silent. The main thing is getting connected with yourself. Yeah. Being okay. And that started for me with being okay with just spending time by myself. I used to not be able to, I thrive in that space now. I'm like, get away. Yeah. I could not be by myself. I couldn't. I would get anxiety. I would get angry. I would get, you know, like depressed.
Well, because you were forced to be by yourself for so long. Yeah. When you were, you know, stay in your room, don't come out, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time in my head.
Yeah.
And so as an adult, I tried to avoid that. Yeah. But as an adult was when I needed to be in my head and look at it from the adult perspective. I'm trying to think of like, was there a pivotal moment like where I realized, wow, I'm doing this work?
Well, how did you realize that yoga and meditation and writing, well, journaling you had always
Writing
done.
I've always done. So that was always my way of release. I didn't really know it was healing. I just know I felt better after.
Yes.
And so, you know, yoga was first. I did a yoga teacher training, which was a lot of looking at your stuff. Yes. You know, and just doing a training when you're in the poses, they're talking in a, you know, class that's slower flow. It's
let's get this guy out here. Come here, Joxer. Come on. Okay.
Pandemic
I know. So teacher training.
Yeah, teacher training. Yeah. So we like looked at our trauma in like this really safe container.
Yes.
And that was when I realized, I knew what I had walked through, but that's when I realized, oh, this is why. Because remember, I was 32, so I was like grown, clean, like I'd been clean for many years.
Yeah. Mother of 2.
Yeah. I mean, I was just married. Like it was so many things that were going on, like this normal life. Yeah. And then I realized, oh, this is like why I am really insecure. This is why I feel fearful that if we fight, he's going to leave me. Yep. This is abandonment issues. Yeah. That I had language for that. Yes. Once I had language, and this is why, just disclaimer, this is so important for somebody to watch and see and be like, oh, that. Yep. Okay. Yeah. It's not just me. It cracks you open.
Yep.
Because then there's support.
Exactly.
You know, and then you can just, I mean, we live in the age of information.
You got to pinpoint it.
You do have to pinpoint it. Otherwise, you're just sort of, and when you have a lot of stuff, you're just swimming in your emotions constantly.
Yep.
And I was projecting.
Yep.
Oh my God, I was projecting. I remember my younger son's dad. Mm-hmm. He was like, "You're just so angry. Yeah. Like it's just pouring off of you." Yeah. And I wasn't. I didn't feel like I was angry, but it was just in me. When you squeeze an orange, what's going to come out?
Apple juice.
Orange juice. Mm-hmm. Not apple juice. Mm-hmm. Orange juice. I was getting squeezed when I was stressed. What was coming out was fear of leaving me, abandonment. Yep. All of that. Yep. And so I was playing that out, but thinking, oh, but I'm not on drugs anymore, so I'm healthy and I'm better. Yeah. You know. And so, you know, when we make a lifestyle change, that's just the first step. Yep. Especially when it's outward. Mm-hmm. You know. Mm-hmm. You know, so that was a big. The teacher training was big. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I started to talk to more people. Mm-hmm. I started to seek out people who, because I've always been very introverted. I started to seek out people that were like-minded. Mm-hmm. You know, I started to set intentions. Mm-hmm. I started to do all of these more kind of woo-woo things, spiritual things. Yeah. That just resonated with me. Mm-hmm. But then over time, and even now, I'm seeing, I've created what I have now. Yeah. Just by wanting it and just putting one foot in front of the other. I didn't know what I was doing. You know? And so, you know, that was.
So what is your take on manifesting? Because I think that there is a community that fully believes it. And then there is a community that's like, well, if manifesting was that easy, you know, why is it that someone who would be raped repeatedly couldn't manifest themselves out of that situation, or the child abuse and everything? What is your take on manifesting?
Or for the child abuse,
do you even consider it manifesting?
I do. I do. I don't think we manifest everything. Okay. I don't think that, you know, the 3-year-old with leukemia manifested that. Totally. I think that was his journey. Yeah. I think that he chose into that before he was born on some level for his soul journey.
How do you think people are going to react?
People are going to not like that. Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's less sad. I'm saying this from a place of, I've lost so many people in my life. Literally a friend of mine that I just mentioned the story passed away last week. You know? So I say that with so much compassion. I say that with confidence. Yeah. I do believe that. I do believe that, you know, we chose into this life. Yeah. And that's why it's hard. Yeah. Because it is progressing our souls. Because anybody that's walked through trauma and come out the other side will tell you they are better for it. Period. Yeah. Period. Yeah. Show me someone that isn't and I will change their mind. Mm-hmm. Let's have a conversation about it. Because maybe they're not seeing that. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. But I don't believe we manifest everything. Okay. I believe that the tricky part with manifestation where people get tripped up is because they want to manifest it, but they don't believe that it's
possible,
worthy of, you know. And it goes back to me, I didn't have words for I wasn't worthy. Yeah. You know, I didn't know that. So somebody, if they don't have that language yet, or they haven't had that kind of awakening, then it's not going to resonate, and that's okay. Then they should watch another video. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's literally, if I'm watching a teacher or something and it's not resonating, I just go to the next one. Yeah. You know, and it's discernment. Yeah. It's discernment. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like intention is everything. I feel like the life that I'm living now, I manifested. I mean, when my brother, this is so much. My brother has cancer. Yep.
He's in the hospital right now.
Yes, but he's supposed to be doing better. I might be seeing him later tonight, so that's good. But yes, I got a text last night from my sister-in-law that he was eating, and it's so big. It's so big. Good. So hopefully it was, anyways, good. God is good. When my brother was first diagnosed, he was very into meditation. Yes. This will make sense in a second. And he got me into these beads, and he explained them to me, and I was like, wow, I love them. I think they look cool. Yeah. And that was really why I started wearing them, honestly, at first. And then I started watching him meditating with his beads, and I was like, wow, I'm still just wearing them, not meditating with him yet. Mm-hmm. You know, but it made me feel closer to him. Yes. It resonated with me for some reason, just I don't know, whatever. And so I started doing that. And then, and I had always wanted to see all these little things that I'm like, I'm trying to like paint this picture that like, I am now a yoga teacher, but I started off just wearing beads because I thought they looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that was my entryway into, oh wow, well it's even cooler that I'm watching him getting this bad news and crying and then meditating, feeling better.
Yeah.
Oh, there's more to this.
Yeah.
But it's just those little things that like you manifest.
Well, there's things also that you resonate with on a level that you don't understand.
Yeah.
And it's so important to dive into why you resonate with something, because you could have left it at, these beads look cool on me. But wait a second, let me dive deeper.
Yeah.
And let me dive into the space of why I think they're great, why I resonate, and then what they allow me to then do.
Exactly.
Because it's like they put you in a state. Yeah. And it is in that state that you can now, I don't like to use manipulate, but where you can manipulate energy, because this is all energy.
It is.
Manifesting is energy. And it's like, you do whatever you need to do to put yourself in that energetic space that you can now move energy.
Yeah.
And do things with it.
Yeah. And it's true. I mean, what really got me into that and gave me language for it was Abraham Hicks. I won't go into it, but look up Abraham Hicks. Any of their stuff is good. It's just, if you want to know about manifesting, that's how I started meditating every day. I was doing yoga, but like the meditation came in from that because it resonated. As weird and crazy as it was, I mean,
but it did.
It resonated, and it got me into meditation, and that got me through a really hard time in my life. And got me really into teaching. Yeah, because I was seeing, you know, for myself, that's where we should teach from, is from what has worked for us.
And that pure belief. Yeah. That experience that it's tried and true for you. And now you're sharing that energy.
And I'm so sure about this that I feel comfortable sharing this with you. Because we all make a lot as fitness teachers.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, this isn't, you know, I'm not traveling the world teaching yoga yet.
Yeah.
But, you know, so it's not like I'm getting, like, yashed out.
Yeah. No.
It's just, I feel close to God. Yeah. You know? And, like, I say that, you know, not to get religious. I'm very spiritual, you know. I was raised Christian. I guess if I had to say religious, I'd do that. But I'm very spiritual. I believe in God, the universe. I think that we are all extensions of that.
Well, I also feel like religion puts limits on that.
Yeah.
Because you have to see things a certain way.
Yeah. And that's not the case.
Yeah. And not to say that there's something wrong with religion, but I feel like there's definitely a difference between religious and spiritual. Yeah. And you can be religious and spiritual. But you can also be spiritual without religion.
Yeah, no, I believe in that.
So you're on this journey of healing and sharing with others.
Really self-healing. And what I was doing, which I look back and I'm such an introvert, so it speaks volumes that I felt called to share online to whoever decided to pop on. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I mean, you've read my book, like, they're very personal. And so, but I just felt so called to share, like, wow, like, I mean, it was like this magic thing. Yeah. And it was so, it wasn't even empowering. It was just like, oh my God, this is so great that, like, I have things that I can do. Yeah. To look at this hard stuff and not only look at it and process it so I can release it, but also pull the gems from that that serve me. Yeah. So because I can release the shame and all the shit. You know, but I can take on, that was a bad choice. But A, I'm never going to make it again. Yeah. And B, God, thank you so much. Because look at me now. You know? Yeah. That's what my memoir is going to be called someday. Yeah. Look at me now, bitches. No, maybe not that. Let's keep it. Like, oh, look at me now, you know? Because I feel like, gosh. Yeah. It really, But having that, it's about the tools, and I think we look outside of ourselves. Yeah. You know, and like for those answers, I did for a long time, or like the quick fix. Yeah. That was a big one for me. Yeah. Which, I mean, obviously isn't, you know. Yeah. And so, I mean, I have to be mindful how much I drink. Yeah. You know, even during quarantine, I was like, I'm getting into a pattern where I'm
Mhm.
having wine every night,
Mm-hmm.
not a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
But if I'm having 2 or 3 or even 1 glass of wine
Yeah.
5 to 6 nights a week,
Yep. It's becoming a pattern.
that's a pattern.
Yeah.
And that doesn't serve me. I
Mhm.
was noticing it with my food. That's why
Yeah.
I switched. It was like, and that it gets you to this place where now, when I feel that resistance in my
Mhm.
body and in my mind and that unease,
Mm-hmm.
I do go into old patterns of like whatever. But
Yeah.
like after a few days, a week tops, I'm like, okay, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You
Like
have
this
that
isn't
conversation with
sustainable.
yourself.
I want to show up, choose to
Mhm.
become. There's
Mhm.
so much in that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I am what
Absolutely.
I choose to become. That
Yeah.
quote is my mantra.
Yeah.
Because we really do.
Mhm.
And I can choose to keep doing what I'm doing even though I know better.
Yeah.
Or I can choose to use my tools.
Mhm.
I mean, I was telling you earlier, like I switched how I eat to help me with my anxiety.
Yeah.
I love cheeseburgers. I love Chick-fil-A, girl. The fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, like I'm making the
Let's be
kids
real.
fried chicken and frying cauliflower. Okay, I'm like,
Are you?
yes.
That's awesome.
I sat down with a picture and I was like, babe, I made cauliflower. And she was like, looks good. Here's your plate. It's chicken. So are you eating?
I mean, thank God that
yeah.
there's like so many alternatives.
Oh, yeah. But like, I'm like, when you start this journey, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Even now.
Yeah.
The first part of quarantine, I was so triggered. I was
Yeah.
so, because when you're aware of it,
Mhm.
it's that coin again.
It
One
is.
side of the coin is when you're aware of it,
Yep.
it's exhausting.
Yep.
Because when you're going through a harder time,
Yep.
it's like, oh,
Like
I know,
right.
But
I want
and
to
you know
ignore
exactly
it.
what you want to,
Yep.
what you need to do.
Yep.
But that resistance still comes up,
Of
and then
course.
a different shame of like,
Yeah.
you know, what are you doing? Judgy, little like
Judge
pandemic
Judy.
privilege. You know what I mean? I feel like and then the other side of that is, if you're not aware of it, it's a slower road.
Totally.
And you're exhausted at a low level,
Totally.
which you're wasting your life.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm saying that with love. I wasted. I got it. I mean,
But
I think about what I did before.
I think we need to communicate with ourselves and others.
I'm
with
very
a little
hard on
bit
myself.
Of punch.
Yeah, I'm very too hard on myself. Which is probably why I'm overly kind to others. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, there's a reason why I called it Choose to Become.
Yeah.
It's a choice. I mean, at the end of the day, we can make all the excuses in the world.
Is that the title of your book?
It's going to be the title of my first book. Yeah.
Choose to Become.
It's the title of the first book. That's why I named the podcast that too.
Yeah.
It's from my tattoo. I am not what happens to me. I am what I choose to become.
Yeah.
Carl Jung.
That's huge.
And that quote just, it like encompasses my life, you know.
And it's because we contain that strength. We contain the strength to choose what we become. We can't choose necessarily what happened to us. Not always. Yes, sometimes, but
I'm living in that truth right now.
Exactly. So, but we can choose where we go to from here. And I think that that's so important. And I think it's so important for people to hear that, because especially in the spiritual world, there's this threat of being accused of spiritual bypassing.
Yeah.
And I know that spiritual bypassing is so real.
It is.
But there's also the true strength that we hold as humans. I mean, what I've never really understood is when people say it's just the placebo effect. It's just the sugar pill effect. And I'm like, wait a second. It should be, that's the motherfucking placebo effect. That's the strength that your body, brain, soul, mind has to heal itself when it believes that it's receiving something. But how do you keep it? So where do you find that line between spiritual bypassing and true strength and true healing?
Spiritual bypassing has come up a lot for me in my contemplations. I sound like such a nerd. Yes, I sit and I study.
That's good.
I do, girl.
Yeah.
We ain't got nothing but time to do it. And I think spiritual bypassing can be really dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm noticing a lot just with the Black Lives Matter movement and the yoga community being like, we're all one. It's like, okay, that's cool, but like not all of us think that. It's also our work to share that message. So I feel like it could be really dangerous. But I also do believe in like everything happens for a reason and we all are one. So it's kind of again dangerous in a different way.
Yeah.
I just I don't know. That's hard. That's hard to answer.
I
feel like
right.
it could go either way. I mean, I think that we have to face our shit.
Yeah.
And we have to be really real with ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just kind of what people are ready for in that moment.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why I want to have these conversations is because I want honesty. I want, genuine connection, genuine conversation, genuine experience. And I think that it's going to start here. Like, we have to just have real conversations and really just delve deep and not just scrape the surface. Because trauma runs so deep. And that's what comes up in times like right now with the pandemic. And I think that we are all struggling. And I shared with you the other day, it's like I found myself so deep in sorrow. But I had to stop myself and I had to be like, is this my sorrow? Or is this the collective sorrow? Like, are we all feeling like this right now?
Yeah.
And I truly felt like I was tapping into sorrow that we all feel. And I'm like, fuck, man, like the level of sorrow that I feel is so deep that it's not a healthy way to it's not a healthy thing to stay in. And I had to be like, what can I do to get myself out of this, but also help someone else and others. Like, I think it's going to be super important for others to see that this fucking hurts. Like, this hurts so bad right now. But we, and my husband and I were just having this conversation this morning. There's this fixation of going back to normal.
Yeah.
But that's not feasible right now.
No, it's not.
So how can we create healing and fulfillment and connection in the position that we find ourselves in right now?
I want to go back to the first thing that you said, which was so powerful, because I think that is the antidote to what you were feeling, which is you were feeling that.
Yeah.
You identified that you didn't want to sit in that space. That's a huge discernment.
Yeah. Because I could have stayed in bed.
So that's if you want here's the 3 steps to mental health. I mean, you're going to go to the biggest thing. What am I feeling?
Yeah, exactly.
Not sad, not happy, not good, not bad.
Yeah.
Go deeper. Yeah. Journal. I'm a firm believer in journaling. If you're not a writer, just get it out. Nobody else is going to see it. It's free therapy. Yeah. Do that shit. You can do it on a napkin, whatever. Yeah. There's no excuse. Because it will help you get clear on how you feel.
Yes.
Within yourself.
Yes.
Not, I'm talking to my friends and this is how they think I feel. So I'm going to take that on because that's how I roll. More of getting
I sat outside in the garden.
Exactly. And that goes back
on the dirt. Yeah. Barefoot.
Healing begins by your motherfucking self.
Yep. Just feeling this deep, just pain, right here. And just being like, this hurts so bad. Yeah. But you're right. Being able to identify it first and foremost.
Yeah. And you being able to discern, you allowed yourself to sit with it. Yeah. But you didn't sit in it.
Yeah. Or stay in it.
Stay in it. Yeah. So you can sit with something, acknowledge it, and even acknowledge what it is and acknowledge how it feels and express it.
Yes.
I cry. I've cried so much in quarantine. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Like, I feel like God gave us tears. Let that shit out. And I'm a crier. I'll cry at anything. So, it was just so distracted. My child, my sweet child. He's probably like,
He's all, you guys are still talking.
Right. You know your mother, honey.
Yeah. Crying.
Crying, yes. So crying is really good.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself to express it.
Yes.
If you're in a space where it's like out of control, call someone.
Yes.
I'm a firm believer. I have people that I can just call and be like, I'm there.
Yeah.
I need you right now.
Okay.
So that is key. And then taking action. Inspired action. And that comes from doing, so you're obviously someone that does the work pretty regularly.
I do.
Yeah. And so for someone like you and I, we kind of know, okay, I don't need to, so it's like automatic.
Yeah.
You know. For someone else, I feel like, you know, that isn't ready to transform that into a teaching.
Yeah.
You know, it's really about just getting the support that you need.
Yeah.
But taking action too.
Exactly.
Taking action can look like getting up and going outside and going for a walk.
Yes.
Taking action can mean getting off your bed and just taking downward dog.
Yes.
You know, taking action can be...
That's not a sex pose, you guys. That's a yoga pose.
It's not. Well, I mean, it
I
can
mean,
go either way.
could. Yeah.
But for now, it's just not downward doggy. Downward dog.
We got it.
Terrible. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm an adult. We're adults.
We are. Are we?
So, clearly not.
Yeah.
Chronologically.
But
so,
we have, okay, so you and I have very different backgrounds.
Yeah.
But I resonate with you so deeply because you are someone, we both are individuals who talk the talk and walk the walk.
Yes.
But we haven't always been this way.
Yeah.
We have both gone through our shit. We have both, you know, hurt people. We have both been hurt by people. We have both done stupid shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have that internal dialogue that always happens. Yeah. And because we've honed in on it and we've developed it and we've been able to work on it and we've been able to grow past a lot of what has happened to us, or we are still currently putting effort into that. Even though we both, and I didn't share this with you, but we both struggle with that. Am I worthy enough? Am I even worthy enough to help people, to share this with people? I mean, what the fuck
Who am I?
Share?
That's a big one. Who am I to write this book?
Yes.
I literally almost didn't write a book because
yes,
I was like, who am I? Imposter syndrome.
Exactly. It's huge. I have the same thing, but it's starting to become so apparent that whatever small thing that I have to contribute, it's going to be so important that I do. Even if just for you. Yeah.
And I know it sounds so cliche, but it's like, even if it helps one person, well, even if it helps one person.
That's one person.
Especially if it's a woman.
Yeah.
Because she's going to share that shit with her friends. No offense, guys, but we be out here. You know what I mean? We be sharing. You're like, girl, guess what? Yeah. You know, I think, I love that you shared that. Yeah. You know, and I think a lot of us do. You know, I think a lot of us don't admit that. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And so...
Well, we just have to work past the, like, me being so short. I've always been like, oh, you're so cute. let me rest my elbow on your head.
And I feel awkward because I'm tall, so I feel like low-key manly. You know? Like, really? Sometimes. Yeah. Like, depending on the... Not always, but like, there's... Like, it's like that, like...
Well, for me, small language has always been used towards me. Like, anything pertaining to small, cute, pretty, oh, you're so lucky, you're so skinny, things like that. And so it's like, that has always picked at me as like, oh, I'm not worthy, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, I'm starting to grow into myself and be like, well, wait, I do have a lot to share.
Yes.
And like I said, we both have very different backgrounds, but we both share that.
Yeah.
And we both have the capability of connecting with our feelings, growing, but also putting a call out there for others to help. And that was really the inspiration of these sessions. But also, as soon as you commented on my post about you wanting to do it, I was literally standing in the kitchen. I was like, fuck yes!
Yes. I was so pumped to even do. I was just like, this is perfect. Yeah, this is perfect. We need this. We're all, you know, in our little pods feeling the same things and like putting on this brave face waiting for normal. And it's like, let's talk about how we're feeling now and like how we're going to move forward in the now with things that is
The way they are.
Exactly, because things are going to be different even when the pandemic ends.
Exactly. There's still going to be
And some
fear.
will be the same.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so the things that should change probably won't.
Yeah.
Initially. And the things that we want to change and go back to normal will, transform.
Well, we're also in such a pivotal time, with the elections coming up, with, the pain of RBG dying, and, the unknown of what's going to happen, the pandemic, being forced in these situations that we're forced into right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. But what has really hurt my soul to see is just the level of division that I see, because honestly, social media right now is our only way of connecting with each other, and what a shitty thing to see is how divided people are.
Yeah, it's hard on Facebook.
Right?
Facebook seems to be very political, and I don't think
we have to be that
served.
change.
Yeah.
I feel like we have to be that change. And when I see someone post something super angry, and if I fall into the category of the people that they are condemning, I find myself trying to be like, okay, well, fuck, man, what an asshole. But at the same time, like, okay, what do me and this person have in common? Most of the times I've met the person maybe once or twice in real life, and been like, okay, what are the things that brought us together?
Yeah.
What are the things that we share in common? And I feel like if we start getting into the habit of automatically trying to find common ground with people instead of focusing on the divide,
exactly,
I think that it's going to kind of propel us into a healthier way of dealing with each other. Because there are way more of us who can find common ground than those people who are just so extreme on one side than the other, that there's always middle ground. There's always middle ground.
I agree with that. And I feel like I agree with that. And this is my own bias, except when it comes to certain things.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like, but is that okay either? You know what I mean? Like, if we're looking at it, I mean, there is the whole thing of like, wrong is wrong no matter what the fuck you vote for. Yeah. And right is right no matter what the fuck. Just humanity is, this is not okay at all for anybody ever.
But let's say if we're going like deep, let's choose something neutral, like a serial killer, Ted Bundy.
Yes.
Ted Bundy was still a human.
Yeah.
He was born and created by two people. Yeah. And that's a common, and seems
I could
so,
do that. I do think he should be punished for what he did.
Of course.
But I can sit, once I see that.
Yeah.
Once I know he's safely doing his
away.
time, I can sit and I can find
absolutely human.
Absolutely.
Even the most flawed human. Yeah. We are still human.
There's something there that brought them within themselves, that brought them to that they're hurting more than anybody ever could.
What I try to say is, like, if I was brought up in the same situation as he was, gone through similar things, I could be that person too. Yeah. And what I have to focus on is the fact that I'm not, and I have to work on myself, and because I have that ability, I need to be able to share that with people, instead of focusing on the hate. I guess is what I'm trying to say. The hate, and the fear.
Yeah, and exactly like what you're putting out into the world too.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm very, when I'm posting or when I'm speaking, on any platform that I have, it's very uplifting. Yes, I may comment on what's happening and how it feels, but I'm also going to give you, this is how you can help mend that.
Yeah.
Because this is what's happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is. I sit and I think about things like that. Like, where was that person at when they decided to do that?
It's easy
like
to,
after the anger passes or whatever, if that even comes up, it's more of like, where were you at in your mind? Or what happened?
Yeah.
That created that.
Yeah.
To be able to do something like that.
And so one thing. So we're gonna have to have part 2 because there's so many.
There's
things
so much. We haven't even gotten to like health issues.
I know.
I was just looking at
I know, but let's end it on this, and you tell me how you feel about it. You, through your life, you were never shown love.
Yeah.
You were never shown love, that pure,
Yeah.
unconditional
No matter what
love.
Yeah.
So that was never taught to you. That was never given to you. But you have come to understand it now. You have it on your bracelet. You talk about it in the book. You have children now. And so, love. There's this saying of universal love. We have to put love out there, but there have been movements that I feel have muddied those waters because all of a sudden they're associated with drugs and sex and patchouli oil.
Yeah. Which is
What?
amazing.
Yes, I'm not.
The sex and the patchouli oil. Safe sex.
Because again, we're adults.
Within your relationship, safe. Respectful sex. Okay.
Yes. I mean, it's, yeah,
I love that you're going there with this.
So talk to me about love. Yeah.
I love you for saying that. And I know I'm long-winded, but I literally was just talking to somebody about this the other day, and they were like, I love you so much because you're just so loving.
Yeah.
And I did my teacher training, and we had to all give like a speech at the end, and it ended like on my birthday. So I gave my like 100th birthday speech on my birthday. It was super cool. And then all the girls got together, and like everybody had to say like what, because it was called Embody Truth. So what word or what thing does each person embody?
Yeah.
And like discuss it.
Yeah.
And I had done my speech, and it was very much about like, no love shown, like all these things, here's this and that, whatever. And everyone like crying, they're like, you were just like love. Like you just exude love. And I just, hearing you say, like frame it in such a little synopsis of like all the reasons why I shouldn't.
Yes.
It's really fucking cool.
Yes.
That like, I've never loved harder.
Yeah.
And that's the gift.
Yeah. And
anyway, that wasn't the question, but like,
no,
I just had to share that because this is like the second time in like 48 hours that like this is being brought to me, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
And full. And like, it is. And I think like I'm gonna start a love movement. Like,
what is love to you?
Love to me,
because I think that there's a misconception.
So much. It's not sex, it's not drugs, and it's not rock and roll.
Yeah. I mean, it can be.
It's friends.
Yeah.
What is love to me?
And I ask that because
yeah.
I feel like once people start to understand what love really is, they can start to spread it.
Love is like compassion. Love is unconditional compassion. I mean, I feel like I'm just substituting one word for the next, but like, yeah,
but
it is. It's just you being able to care and be kind from a genuine place and feel the desire to serve.
Yeah.
It's forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything. Love is, I mean, I'm gonna have to really go home and really sit with this because I love this question, and it's so complex and it's so simple. It's just, it's compassion. That's the main thing, really.
I think society has given love such a different definition that's why we don't know how to put it forth.
Yeah.
Because our idea,
even within our,
exactly.
Some people look at love as like loss of control. I've looked at it that way.
Yep. I feel like to start off with is just knowing that everyone has a starting point that they had to start at. And they've gone through so much to get to where they are right now that we just have to validate that journey and understand that they are a creation of what has happened to them, and that we aren't in a position to judge or feel badly. We just need to honor their humanity and honor their journey. And if there's anything that we can offer them, that's where the service comes in. We do.
The greatest, when I think of love, I think of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I think of, not the Bible, not religious.
Yes.
Pull that away.
The human.
Take this man, being, and somebody is wronging him, and he's teaching his homies.
Yeah.
No. Just turn the other cheek.
Yeah.
That is love.
Don't feed into it.
No. Not only turn the other cheek, I'm going to wash their feet.
Yeah.
That's love.
Yeah.
That is love. That is, tell me your story as I wash your feet about how you killed that man for no reason, or whatever, or
And
how
the
you
hate
killed
that
that
you
child.
feel towards me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me that as I turn your water to wine. Because you're worthy. That's unconditional love. I feel like after my teacher training, even though I felt way less religious, I felt so like connected to Jesus, like to that that story. I read the Bible so much growing up. I mean, it resonated with me, just like, this is right, this is wrong. That's probably why I have really clear fucking boundaries.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
for real.
the lessons.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's really just knowing that you can turn the other cheek and just not side eye, but just without retaliation, without talking shit to your friend, without shaming them, without any internal, just I'm still of service. I'm still here.
And when you're ready and to connect, we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but no pressure. Yeah, I love that.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end off of.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Everyone
holding
tuning
space.
in, holding space, having patience with the noises and the Pandemic Chronicles.
Yes.
Yes.
Real life.
Yeah.
Still doing the work. I mean, if anything, I told you earlier.
Yep.
It just makes it more real. There's this isn't like a studio. Like,
No.
This is real. We're just two regular women who want to talk about
and
change.
the kids are playing up there.
Like, my kid is giving me side eye. Like, Mom, let's go.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So good.
Oh.